Hello guys, I'm Wilford,
Hello guys, I'm Kesha.
and today we are going to talk about Howard Gardner's theory on multiple intelligence
In today's video, we're going to be mainly focusing on the interpersonal intelligence.
and the preparation for the national exam for intrapersonal learners.
So first of all, let's take a look at Howard Gardner's theory. The theory of multiple intelligences was developed in 1983 by Dr. Howard Gardner, professor of education at Harvard University. It suggests that the traditional notion of intelligence based on IQ testing is far too limited. Instead, Dr. Gardner proposes 8 different intelligences to account for a broader range of human potential in children and adults. These intelligences are linguistic intelligence. This means that you are probably good with words and you should probably be a writer, because most linguistic intelligent people are good at writing stories. The next one is logical mathematical. This means that you are good with numbers and you have a high logical skill. The next one is called spatial intelligence, which means you are picture smart. You memorize things better by looking at them. The next one is called bodily kinesthetic. This intelligence means that you probably fidget a lot whenever you're nervous or you're trying to learn something. It's not a bad thing at all. This actually means you are probably very active. The next one is called musical intelligence. This intelligence means that you love music and you are a very musical person. The next one is called interpersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence means that you are very social and very extroverted and you like talking to people. The next intelligence is interpersonal intelligence. This intelligence means that you are better alone and you are self-smart. So you probably memorize things in quieter spaces or being alone. The last intelligence is called naturalist intelligence, which means that you love nature and you love being outside.
So yeah, that's Howard Gardner's theory on multiple intelligence.
The entire 9th grade has been studying about that theory, and we all took a test to find out our individual learning skills.
So let's take a look at those results.
The most common intelligence is musical intelligence, in which 21 students from the 73 students have them, or around 30% of the entire population of 9th graders. We think that musical is the most common intelligence because most people enjoy listening to different kinds of music, and most of them often study with music in the background or using headphones because it helps them concentrate. Now, the least common intelligence is visual and spatial, in which only 3 students from the 73 students have them, or around 5% of the entire population of 9th graders. We think that visual is the most least intelligence because people have different ways that are more easier and more effective ways to concentrate and memorize or study better than visual does. Because visual people often call it photographic memory, and it is very rare for people to have. Only highly intelligent people have that. The specific type of intelligence that people have helps them identify the best and most effective way their brain works best when they are studying or concentrating. Some people have musical type, which means they are best at studying with music playing in the background, or some people have logical type, which means they are best studying by making things reasonable using their own brain. People suggest that every person find their own intelligence so that it will optimize the learning skills, not using the same type for everyone else.
So those are the test results that you just saw. I got 95% musical.
And I got 95% logical.
But today we're focusing on interpersonal, so we found 5 people around the school to interview, and all of them got the highest score in interpersonal.
So let's take a look at those interviews.
Hi, can I bother you to ask some questions?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question is, do you enjoy hanging out with your friends? So you enjoy hanging out with your friends. So would you say that you spend your weekends with your friends?
Often.
Okay. Thank you. That's Hi, Kevin. Can I bother you to ask some questions? The first question is, do you expect someone to understand the way you do things?
No,
Why? Why?
because I can do things on my own.
But don't you need someone that understands you?
Maybe at some point, but not every day.
Thank you. Hello, Ryan. Today I'm going to be asking you some questions, if that's okay. Okay, so first question, do you feel insecure about something?
Yes.
Well, what are your worst insecurities?
My most insecurities are my skills and confidence I made.
How do you handle facing your insecurities in social events?
I usually push it aside so
take part of your time to answer these questions. Hello, can I bother you to ask some questions? Yes. Okay. So, first question is, do you like going to social events?
No,
No. Okay. Why don't you like going to them?
because I'm lazy.
Well, what if by coincidence you attended a social event? How would you react?
I will only talk to my close friends.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, Olivia. Can I ask you some question? Yeah. Do you often need some alone time?
Yes.
Where would you say you need some alone time?
I need time to reflect myself.
Really? Tell me more about your insecurities in front of people.
Sometimes I can't handle people.
Great. So that is all for Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. But now we're going to be focusing on national exams.
National exam is an exam where all ninth graders have to take during their last year to determine their future and high school.
So let's take a look at the history.
National exam, or in Indonesia, Ujian Nasional, commonly abbreviated as UN or UNAS, is a standard evaluation system of primary and secondary education in Indonesia, and the equation of quality of education levels among the areas that are conducted by the Center for Educational Assessment, the Department of Education. The Law of the Republic of Indonesia number 20 of 2003 states that in order to control the quality of education nationwide to be evaluated as a form of accountability of education providers to the parties concerned. Further stated that the evaluations conducted by independent agencies on a regular basis, comprehensively, transparently, and systematically to assess the achievement of national education standards, and the monitoring process evaluations should be done continuously. Evaluation of the monitoring process is carried continuously and continuous in the end will be able to fix the quality of education. Improving the quality of education begins with the determination of the standard. Determination standards continue to rise is expected to encourage increased quality of education, which is the determination of educational standards, is the determination of the limit value or the cut-off score. One is said to have passed the exam when it has passed the limit value of the boundary between learners who have mastered certain competences with learners who have not mastered certain competences. When that happens on a national exam or school, then the boundary value function to separate the students who graduated and did not pass is called the limit of graduation. Graduation delimitation activity is called standard setting. Benefits of standard setting final exam is the limit of graduation. Each subject is in accordance with the demands of minimum competency, and the same standards for each subject as a minimum standard of competency achievement. And in 2015, it has been proposed to do a computerized version of national exam with trials starting that year. In the same year of 2015, national exam is no longer a standard of education completion. So yeah, that's the history of national examination. But we went around the school and asked 3 senior high schoolers about their preparation on national examination.
Let's take a look at those interviews.
Ask you some questions.
Yes.
Do you think the national examination is important?
Yes, it's important.
Why do you think it is important?
Because it helps us to memorize what we have learned for the past 3 years.
How do you think it benefits you?
I became hardworking and disciplined.
So thank you.
Okay, can I bother to ask you some questions? Okay. So the first question is, did you take the national exam seriously?
Yes.
How would you say you take it seriously?
Because it didn't hit me.
Did you get a good score during your examination?
Yes, of course.
How did you achieve that high score?
Practice smart. The first that was the hard to pass.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the interview for the senior graders.
But since we're still focusing on interpersonal, we have 10 study tips for all you interpersonal people out there.
The first tip we have is to find a place where you can study alone and not get interrupted. So, avoid group studyings, or else you might get distracted a lot. The next tip is to study in a quiet place, unless your musical intelligence is high, in which case, a light instrumental may help. The next tip is to talk to yourself, or even inanimate objects, because this way, your brain will subconsciously memorize things that you have learned and you have reviewed to yourself. The next thing you can do is reflect upon and correct handouts, book questions, and study guides by yourself. This way you can study the things that you have learned before. The next thing you can do is keep a daily personal journal on what you learn. This way you can review everything you've learned in the past without having anyone around to help you. The next thing you can also do is record yourself asking yourself questions. Later on, you can listen to them back and answer them by yourself without having to ask anyone for any help.
And the next tip we have is to stay motivated. Even though you're studying by yourself, it might be hard to stay motivated and finish studying. But as long as you keep motivated, the faster you're going to finish and the faster you get to do whatever you want. So keep on being motivated and you'll get the best scores. The next tip we have for you is to app it up. It's 2017. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of apps that can help you study more efficiently and in a more fun way. And the next tip we have is to plan your time. You need to learn how to manage your time correctly because when you're studying alone, you have no one to really remind you to study. So as long as you keep your time managed, I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. And the last tip we have for you is to ask Google. Because you're not with a lot of people, you probably don't have anyone to ask whenever you don't understand anything. Remember, you still have Google to ask.
So yeah, that's all we have for you today.
We really hope you found this video helpful.
I'm Wilford,
I'm Kesha.
reporting from Vita Junior High School.
Back to you, Mr. Saab.